Oh yeah, that's Steve Miller.
The Joker. How about that?
Hey,
I thought I didn't know any Steve Miller.
Oh yeah.
I did not know that. That's pretty good, Ryan.
Very good, Ryan.
You read the script really well, Ryan. No, just kidding. It is Steve Miller Band is going to be at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. In fact, I think he goes on stage around 6 o'clock. Bare Naked Ladies are there first, and of course I can't play any Bare Naked Ladies.
I knew you were going to say that. I'm surprised you even mentioned it. So.
Well, you know, she's in Washington D.C. So and Jerry is on the road to Tennessee. So if they're listening, I'm sorry, but yes, it is the Bare Naked Ladies. They do have some pretty good songs.
They do, yes.
So it's okay. And it's the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. They all know we love Jesus. And that's the reason why we're here, Indiana SRN, where you're always in the game. We'll talk about rookies. I only know one. Is there only one in the field?
You'd think there might only be one driver in the field the way some of the coverage has gone.
Yeah.
You know, that said, Fernando Alonso is I'm assuming who you're talking about here. I think the hype is warranted. It would have been one thing if he came here with the hype and continued to get it, but wasn't running well. But the guy has been great, and he's been great with fans. He's been great with media.
Yeah.
It's a completely different type of environment for Alonso than what Formula One is. It's a much more closed-off environment and an F1 Grand Prix. And so I think they got with him pretty early and said, hey, there are going to be fans tugging on your race suit at the pits because they bought their bronze badge.
Exactly.
You don't deal with that at Silverstone or Monaco or whatever. And, you know, to his credit, he's done a great job on the off-the-track stuff, and, hey, he's been a quick study on track, too.
Yeah, Ryan, the day I was out there last Tuesday for the Indiana Sports Corporation Hospitality Day, that was the first day that he was actually on the track in front of the public. And I purposely went to his pit just to see what was going on there. And there were so many reporters and so many photographers there that you couldn't even get close. So I went up in the stands just to get a look, you know, over the top there. He wasn't even, he was there, but he was in a canopy. You know, he didn't want to be bothered at that time, but finally his time came, and Keith, when he jumped onto the track, a big roar went up. So, yeah, he's become a kind of a popular guy already, just the way that, Ryan, the way he handles himself, right?
I think so. You never quite know what you're going to get with some of the Formula One drivers. They have a reputation, earned or otherwise, that they're going to be a bit more reserved or difficult to get to. Maybe not the most fan-friendly, but he's been anything but. He's been humble. He's been appreciative of the history of the race and trying to make it pretty clear that he's not trying to steal the show. He just wants to test himself, and I give him a ton of credit for that. This is something very foreign to his experience level. He's not raced on an oval, and to see him step out of his comfort zone the way that he has and embrace the challenge, stay humble about it, and frankly do a very good job is awfully refreshing.
Yeah, perhaps, Keith, that he went to the Tony Holman Public Relations School before coming over to Indy, because he's been great.
Well, he traveled 226 miles an hour today. He did 32 laps. His best speed was at 226. You know, you're running at 226 at practice. Are those going to hold up? I don't see another Arie Luyendyk record of the fastest race speed-wise. I think they broke that.
2013, Tony Kanaan. I think it's 187 miles an hour.
Well, is that possible this year, Ryan?
It all comes down to cautions, and that 2013 race ran very clean. So
only one caution that year.
Was it only one?
One or two?
It was very few.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
The average speed, therefore, was much higher because it wasn't hindered by any yellows. So, is it possible? Yeah, it's possible, but I wouldn't say it's super likely. The other record, though, that Arie Luyendyk still holds, actually, is the qualifying record.
Right.
237 mile an hour lap, 236 4-lap average, and Scott Dixon starting on pole. His time is the fastest in 21 years since Arie Luyendyk set that record. So we're getting a little bit closer. Scott qualifying at 232, and frankly, if Sebastian Bourdais hadn't crashed, he might have been a little quicker. He was pretty close to 233. And
I think because these speeds are going up, I think you'll see an adjustment in the engines a little bit because they want to keep them safe. Speaking of Sebastian, he made it to the racetrack today, walked in on crutches, and you know,
Spirits lifted, right?
I tell you what, if you're not a believer in Jesus Christ,
God is good.
Man, I tell you what, that accident just shows you how, first of all, how good the cars are built, how safety barriers work. But there are a lot of people that prayed for him, because there are a lot of guys that were very concerned with his injuries. And within 2 days, 3 days, or 4 days or so, he's back and he's walking on crutches. And he says, "I will be back."
Yeah.
And he's going to get back in the race car. It won't be this year, but it's pretty cool to see him today.
Ryan, these guys are built for speed. They're not wired the way we are, certainly. And this is what they do. They want to go faster and faster.
Right.
So, not me.
And not just Sebastian's courage and strength of character to want to get back in the race car after that, but how about the guys who are up next in qualifying?
Right.
Alexander Rossi was next that Saturday. The crash happened. He's sitting in his car, geared up, ready to go. He knows something has gone on, but not how bad it is necessarily. I mean, it could be anything as far as he knows. And there's the delay. He has to sit there and marinate in that a little bit and think about it. And then they say, "All right, track is clear. Your turn.
Your turn.
Go." And he ends up putting the car in the Fast 9, and he'll start on the outside of the front row. So you're right. It takes a little bit different wiring up top, I think, to make it happen. And that's why these guys are our heroes.
And it was on that day of qualification that Denny Miller, who was sitting right next to me, saying that those who thought that Alexander Rossi last year was a fluke, look what he's done here in the early days of practice as well as qualifications. He's right there.
And I think it was short-sighted to say that last year anyway. He won by getting lucky and working fuel strategy and saving fuel. There's no denying it. But he had the fastest lap in the race last year, nearly made the Fast 9 in qualifying last year, got knocked off very, very late, and was pretty disappointed he didn't get there. He looked like he took to the place pretty quickly, and he's showing that again this year, no doubt.
You haven't heard too much about Tony Kanaan, and he's always been a sleeper. You haven't heard too much about a couple of these guys. Will Power you heard a little bit of, but Simon Pagenaud you have not heard much of. Oreo Servia has had a very consistent month. I don't know if you guys have watched his times during the week. But today he turned a 2:24, and I think he was just not maybe dogging it, but I think he's playing a little bit of games. He only did 20 laps. And Ryan, you made a very interesting point. Chevy says, not many laps today. They're not Chevy, but the Honda's a little concerned. But Orvia's been pretty quiet all year, but
he's solid,
could be one of these guys.
He is a solid driver.
He is, and he's turned in a lot of good results at the 500 over the course of his career. It's pretty amazing. He's been coming since 2008. Actually tried to qualify in 2002, but he's been in the race every year but one since 08. He missed 2010. He was out of the series. But this is a really bright guy. He's got a mechanical engineering degree. It's not a lot of drivers these days can say that. And he literally was born into racing. His parents, his dad was a rally racer, and his mom was his dad's navigator. And it turned out she was actually pregnant and didn't know it for a little while.
He didn't have a chance.
Right. While she was the navigator in the car alongside Oriel's dad over in Europe when they were doing some of their rally racing. So it's quite literally in his blood. He likes to joke. He's been in a race car since before he was born.
There you go.
And yeah, no doubt. If you're looking for a sleeper, that's a pretty good one. I think there's a couple guys starting a little bit further back to keep your eye on, and Oriel Serviga is high up on that list.
Isn't he the teammate this year of Graham Rahal?
That's correct.
Yeah, and Graham says, I got somebody I can match up with finally. And Graham Rahal must have the best racing suit ever.
He's the steak and shake man.
The little bow tie. The other guy I want to mention real quick before we talk and take another break here is Buddy Lazier. Jeff Teague, they interviewed Jeff Teague today, and they asked him, why are you racing? And he goes, I wanted to give back to the community. Here, I love Indianapolis. I mean, he's a
Here's another graduate. Ambassador, right?
Here's another kid, and he goes, my dad taught me at an early age that you give back to the community. And he opened up a brand new gym. I know, Steve, that you're very familiar with that. I'm sure that Indiana SRN will be broadcasting games there soon. But just to give back to the kids, but and also with Buddy Lazier. Buddy Lazier was one of his favorite, and I guess
his 20th
anniversary is this
20th coming
Sunday.
It'll be his 20th start. He's actually been coming to the Speedways. He's been coming for a long time because his father, Bob, started the race. I think it would have been in the 70s. Buddy first took his rookie test in 1989. Wow. So this is our last driver with any connection to the 80s at the Speedway that's going to be in the race this year. And I had a good time chatting with Buddy for the show last week, and he's pretty upfront about it. It's a small family-run team, and that's a good throwback too. And
he spoke so optimistically, though. Up, right?
And one of the things I love about him, he goes, I was a young kid, and I had passed my rookie test, and they said, come back when you're 40.
Right.
Now all of a sudden he's 40.
He's
40. Come back when you should be at least 60.
Yeah,
you should be 25 or something.
He'll be the oldest driver in the race. He's 49. He'll be 50 on October 31st. So, wow.
Yeah, and there you go. And his son is involved in racing, so I'm sure that we'll see his son in Indy Lights here shortly. And the race I remember clearly because he won the race the year that CART went to Michigan, and a lot of people thought the Indianapolis 500 was washed up.
There you
and
go.
He won that race with the Delta Faucet race car.
For Himmelgarn Racing, and he did it with a broken back.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. He had a really bad crash at Phoenix to start the season, and was racing, could barely get out of the car in victory lane when he won. So some really cool stories. He's also run second a couple of times. He was the only one who could run with Juan Montoya in 2000. And even though, he did get the win in one of the weaker fields, unfortunately in 500 history, talking about 96, the year of the split, nonetheless, he had a pretty good success even pre-split, and then as the fields got better, he continued to run well, and I think he's one of the talents of the IRL era.
I don't care what you say, though, when you win the Indianapolis 500, you have won
You still are a champion,
You
right?
are a champion.
You are the
You
champion.
always will be a champion.
Yeah.
We're going to take our break. When we come back, I'm going to give you a little history. I got this from a friend of mine, suggested this. They remember Danny Sullivan, and Danny Sullivan did something that no other race car driver has done at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Did you see it live?
I saw it live.
When you see it on tape, you won't believe it. When you hear it, you won't believe it. We'll be back after this. You're listening to the Afternoon Drive Show, 35 minutes before the hour.